Trupti Patel. I'm an artist working in clay. My most recent work has tied up my interest of contemporary use of the clay as a material in my work. Having worked with modeled and fired clay for so many years, my interest has led me to actually reference to clay from places as a contemporary marker of expression of today's time of places, especially in India, where clay is used into everyday lives of social functions or festivals and religious practices, and I don't refer to that in the religious context, but I'm referring to these natural materials as an identification of the country that I believe is my background and probably my inspiration. I can see it is tied up to this understanding of this material as an intrinsic, specific referential point of dialogues of contemporary art in my work is what I'm aiming at. For instance, if you see the work, you can go there, the title. In this work, Association of a Homeland, I am referring to the place Vadodara, which has been my home since 1997 and earlier also from my childhood. It was my maternal grandparents' ancestral place where I visited and grew up also. And in contemporary times, I am referring to it because I live there now. I am settled in Vadodara. So this work deals with my idea of homeland. So I've used the actual earth from Baroda, and also the work that I've modeled and made is a composite of clays and oxides and minerals from all over India, not just Vadodara. So that is the work I have created, and in juxtaposition I have put it with the actual earth from Baroda as a site work, reference to it as a material that I identify with. My mother many years ago gave me, when I set up home, she gave me a little copper vessel and said, "You've got to keep this in your home." And I was very puzzled because I wondered why she said that, and she said, "No, it's a Ganges water and it's something you keep in the home, which is used in either puja or in just a potent significance of something that you keep in the home," is what she told me. And I've always wanted to go beyond that just gesture, that mundane gesture that most people practice with, you know. The practice of doing these sort of things without another in-depth explanation, it's taken me all these years to actually understand and come out with something that I identify with. Say the Ganges water, which has the ashes from thousands of hundreds of years, people immerse their ashes. It's got all that symbolism of the country in it, and for me, it's more than holy. It's got so much of association of it being a homeland. So I finally realized to use in juxtaposition with the work I had made to actually place that little copper sealed vessel with the Ganges water as again something that I respect, but also something that in contemporary life I want to give it this understanding of why I value it, even as a token thing that was given to me by my mother. So in this work I've used it with in juxtaposition of a head with a figure of a female on it with a pot on her head. I mean, this cliched idea of the woman with a pot on her head. Also this the Ganges came down on earth on the taking support of the the head of a god, obviously, but in this case I'm putting a contemporary context, because there are so many things that we do in our Indian ritual life that in contemporary times gets converted into simply rituals, but one doesn't understand the real context of things and materials that became into these rituals. So the intrinsic point here is to understand the profound meanings that the water and the earth and the soils from the place have, which get put into rituals. I feel that understanding is what I want to trigger in these works, and of course associate myself with the heritage of this land, so that, you know, I can make more alive and make more connections with things like a gift given by my mother that I had to put in my house. I studied abroad and lived abroad for many years, practicing as an artist. So for me, it is always, the awareness has always crept in, and also I was born and brought up outside India. So that awareness has always been of the idea of the homeland. It's always been on the mind. It's not been as something that I have suffered from or any lack of, but I'm now coming to a very, you could say, with all these years behind me, it's now coming together, this kind of feeling that I have for the idea of the homeland. So this work basically is a modeled work that brings that notation of the idea of the homeland. I have used script in most of the works, more like something that you intuitively pick out, not necessarily definite scripts, but something that you look at and intuitively pick it out, so that it adds another dimension of, it prompts you into looking at something rather than obviously saying something. So I want things to be prompted at, so the juxtaposition is of having a created work with the actual material of the land, either soil or seed or water, is to create this kind of prompting of associations that I have of the places.